Happy Friday. Woohoo! Hope everybody got big plans for the weekend. I hope they include going to church. We worship on Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock. You can come a little early and drink coffee with us. We don't bite. We would love to have you. If not, just about every church in America worships on Sundays at either 9:30 or 10. Go be part of a local body. Okay, that's important. That's important to your spiritual growth. You need to physically be assembling together with other saints. Okay, there's the PSA. I don't know how many pastors will. I know all pastors will recommend you go to church. Go to a church. I love that y'all watch us online, and I'll pray that y'all continue to do that. But physically assemble. That is so important. So important. Just a few random announcements that we have going on. Not this Saturday. This Saturday we have our regularly scheduled church thing. Next Saturday, the following, the 17th, we will be having our annual Christmas party. That is going to be crazy fun. We're not going to have a morning service. We're going to come in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when we're going to get started. It is going to be the bee's knees and how. Okay. If you want to come join us at 6314 Highway 32 East for a rocking good time on the 17th, 4 o'clock, please feel free to do so. However, if you come, I have some requests. If you bring children, please bring them something to open. Okay. If they're under the age of 13, bring them something to open. If you're 13 and older, bring a $10 gift that can go for a man or a woman that's already wrapped, because we're going to play a little game that we like to call Dirty Santa. You may know it as White Elephant. We have no mercy. It's going to be fun. Okay. There's my announcements, Internet land. There's my announcements. It's going to be a good time. It's always fun. That's my next week is wrapped up in Christmas party planning. So there you go. All right. Our normal announcements. Join our Facebook family if you haven't already. I'm sure that there's going to be all kinds of stuff, updates, the Saran Wrap ball escapades, all kinds of fun stuff. Who knows? I may even get on here while I'm wrapping it, so y'all can see some of the crazy process. So that's just a place that we like to share prayer requests and share life. Do that. It's a good place to be. Here you go. If you haven't already, like and share on Facebook, subscribe, follow on the YouTube. There you go. Last announcement of the morning. If you want to give, onelifeatatime.churchcenter.com/giving. There you go. That's how you give to the ministry. Pretty easy. Pretty straightforward. No big. Hey, Lord lays it on your heart. He always pays back. So, it's good ground. Good ground. Let's see. Who's online? Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Joe. I hope to see you at the Christmas party. We're going to have a good time. You and your son, Wyatt. All right. So now we're going to just be getting into it. Because we've skipped. Because remember, in Jesse Tree, you're going to skip along the storyline. So Joseph and his family, they stayed and they prospered in Egypt, and they became popular and rich and all that good stuff. Well, then a new Pharaoh came in town, and he didn't like Joseph's family. He said, man, they're going to run us out of Egypt. So we're going to make them into slaves. Okay. Yeah, this is where this went. And slavery started abounding, and finally you get to the point where you have a Pharaoh that says, hey, there's too many boy babies. Let's just throw them in the river. Yes, it does, and I don't know how to make it stop. Here, I can cut off part of my hat. Is that better? I've been trying to figure out why my light all of a sudden is glaring. I don't know. I'm going to have to get my tech crew to work on it this weekend. All right, we'll just cut off part of the hat. It'll be all right. So yeah. So now we've got slavery. Now we've got oppression, and now we're gonna, the killing of the babies, all this stuff. And I'm sure you know the story about a Hebrew woman of the tribe of Levi who put her baby in a basket and sent him down the Nile. Well, Pharaoh's daughter finds him, raises the child as her own. He grows up in Pharaoh's palace. But one day he kills an Egyptian slave, and then he hits the ground running, man. So Moses is on the move. God calls him. He becomes the great deliverer to deliver the Hebrews out of Egypt. And now they're in the wilderness after their freedom. Okay? So here we are, all the way in Deuteronomy chapter 5. And this is significant, guys. Because up until then, Israel had just been in a state of paganism for hundreds of years. They were in Egypt, surrounded by it. I think it's interesting because we go from God calling one man out and saying, "Hey, follow me. Do what I say, and I'll show you what to do." And we see that. But now we have God communicating with a nation, okay, in the wilderness. So here we go. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 1 through 22. Man, that peppermint mocha creamer, y'all. If y'all haven't got any, get some. Oh, it's everything. Okay. I'm going to be in the NASB 95 today because I like how it reads, pretty much. Then Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, "Hear, O Israel, the statutes and the ordinances which I am speaking today in your hearing, that you may learn them and observe them carefully." Pay attention. Observe these things. Learn them. There's no excuse for you not to hear. The Lord our God made a covenant with us at Horeb. The Lord did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, with all of those of us alive here today. Sometimes we get caught up in tradition. Well, that's not how God talked to Granddaddy. Well, that's not what God did with Granddaddy, or that's not what God did with Dad. Well, no. Listen, God talks to us today. We can't go off of Grandpa or Daddy's relationship with the Lord. We have to go off of ours. That's a personal thing. We go and we read the Word, but what God tells us to do, that's what we follow. That's what we follow, okay? That's important to remember. That is very important to remember. The Lord spoke to you face to face at the mountain from the midst of the fire. Yeah. God wanted to talk to him. This is when they said, "No, Moses, you go talk to him." But see, God wanted to talk to him face to face. While I was standing between the Lord and you at that time to declare to you the word of the Lord, for you were afraid because of the fire and did not go up the mountain, he said. This is what God said, guys. Since y'all wanted to run, y'all wasn't ready to hear it. Y'all scared of the fire. Man, that'll preach in and of itself. People get scared of the fire. People get scared of the fire. Why? Because it burns away the trash. It burns away the trash and the garbage. Don't be afraid of the fire. He said, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourselves an idol or any likeness of what is in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the water beneath. You shall not worship them or serve them, For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the father on the children and on the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing loving kindness to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. There's that correlation of loving God and keeping his commandments, hating God and not keeping his commandments. You're not going to get one without the other. If you love God, you keep his commandments. You do what he tells you to do. Point blank. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not leave him unpunished who takes his name in vain. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter or your male servant or your female servant or your ox or your donkey or any of your cattle or your sojourner who stays with you, so that your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. A day of rest. There you go. To me, this was the clincher. This was the clincher for me on switching to having our services on Saturdays on the actual Sabbath. Sunday is not the Sabbath. Okay, just I'm gonna disclose that one. Sunday is not the Sabbath. It's the first day of the week. It's not the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the seventh day, which is Saturday. Okay, we there you go. That's just all there that is. This was the clincher to me because this is before the Levitical law. This is before all the stuff that we're not bound to, the ceremonial and the customs and the things like this. This is one of the this is the moral law. Okay, this is God's moral law right here. That never changes. The moral law doesn't change. And so as a Christian of 30 years, whatever, 20 years, whatever, I was like, which one of the 10 commandments, if you go to any church, any Christian, do we as Christians have issue with keeping? Every Christian will tell you that the 10 commandments you keep, that those are all moral, those are good. But we've been ignoring this one about remembering the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That's our holy day. Now, I'm not out here saying, oh, I can't light my oven. No, I cook for my family, y'all. But it's a day that we set aside, we worship the Lord, and it's my family's day to just whatever. Hey, we come home, we do whatever we want to do as a family together. It's our day to, that's our keeping the Sabbath day holy. It's not all this, oh, you can't go further than a mile. No, that gets into ceremonial and red tape and just, no, that's never what God meant. He wanted people to rest. He wanted people to remember him. He wanted people to sit back. Why? Because you can overdo yourself. Okay? Here we go. Here's some more about it. 15, you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out of there by a mighty hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore, the Lord your God commanded you to observe the Sabbath day. That's a lot of verses just on the Sabbath day, y'all. Just an observation. Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged and that it may go well with you on the land which the Lord your God gives you. Honor your father and mother. First one with a promise. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, and you shall not desire your neighbor's house, his field, or his male servant, or his female servant, his ox, or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. These words the Lord spoke to all your assembly at the mountain from the midst of the fire. This is what God audibly said to y'all in the midst of the fire. But y'all didn't want to listen because y'all scared of the fire. of the cloud and of the thick gloom with a great voice, and he added no more. No, there was no more to it. This is what he said. He wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. Wow, the giving of the law, God's moral law. Here's a big thing, y'all. This is the progression. This is the progression, because when we get to the manger and Jesus, he's going to give us the heart of the law. Why did God say to do these things this way? But here we have God's moral law. Nothing added. This is it. Keep this. Do this. This is my rules for you as a nation. And even after all that great victory, you know what? There would be people that would fail miserably. There would be people that refused God. There would be people that refused to do things God's way. There would be those who died in the wilderness in their sin, as Hebrews said. Let's not be like that. Let's not be the ones who sees a mighty work of God only to die in the wilderness. Let's move on to the promised land. All right, guys, I'll see y'all in the morning at church and tomorrow evening for a Jesse Tree installment, because we about to hit some of the ladies, y'all. This is going to be great. We're going to be discussing some of the women in the lineage of Jesus. All right, guys, I love you. God loves you. There ain't a thing you can do about it. I'll see y'all at church tomorrow.